Hey guys, it is Lisa. I know it has been a really long time since I have made a video. Long story short, I ended up having to go back to work May of last year, and working full time and taking care of a 2 and 3 year old. I wasn't even able to take care of my house because my husband was still working. Well, he had gotten laid off from the railroad in May, so that's why I went back to work. He had gotten temporarily laid off, and so he was off for 3 months. But it was really hard. He was taking care of the house, but I was working Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday, trying to have like some family time. He ended up going back to work at the end of August, and we decided for me to continue working just because we had put the kids in daycare, and Elam was really excelling on his speech and his development. So, and I was enjoying being a working mom again, and but it got really tough because I'd work Monday through Friday. I'd take the kids to school. Their school is about 15 to 20 minutes away from here, and then that is about another half an hour drive to my work. So total by leaving the house, I had to leave the house at 7, be to work by 8. I got off at 5, picked up the kids at 5:30. I was home by 6. By the time I'm done making dinner, getting the kids ready for bed, that's all I had time for. Literally all I had time for. So, unfortunately, YouTube was kind of put on the back burner, as was my weight loss. I have gained, for all those that are just following my channel for the VSG, I had gained back. I was 169 at my lowest, and I am 185 right now. So that is a 15-pound gain. But about 7 pounds is, I'm going to say, water weight, and just due to a certain circumstance that I'm going through. So really, I've gained about 10. I'm going to say 10. So that's, just been me getting back into my old habits, but I'll make a complete update about that. This one's going to be kind of getting back into why I started this channel, which was trying to conceive. And I know I have 2 beautiful children right now, but me and my husband decided back in October we wanted to try or think about trying to have another child. I got my IUD taken out in February of last year. And we just decided, if it happens, it happens. We're not going to stop it. We're not going to prevent it. We thought maybe with the weight loss that it would be easier. So we took it out. The doctor actually told us that part of it was really painful to get removed. He said part of it was attached to my cervical lining or my uterus. And so when he pulled it, it had a little bit of a clump of it. So my uterus, it was attached to it. So that was not fun. So I am really excited I got it out and had it in for as little time as I did. So got it out in February. By August, we decided, we might have to start Clomid again. Go back, go to the doctors, talk about it, have them do an ultrasound, see if my cysts are better, worse, what's going on. And I procrastinated quite a lot because I was working full time, and so the only time that I could get in to see the doctors was on my lunch. So it was really hard getting scheduled for an appointment. So in November, I went and saw a doctor because I was having some really a lot of pain in my abdomen, my lower abdomen. And what I thought it was is I still had 50 milligrams of Clomid left over from years ago, and I was stupid enough to just try and take them and just see if it worked. I started metformin again. And then, so I was having a bunch of pain, and I was worried about it, overstimulating and what was going on. So I went to the doctor. They did an ultrasound, and my doctor said, basically, your uterus is mad. All of my blood vessels were completely inflamed. She said it could be a side effect from the Clomid. At that point, it kind of worked out perfectly because that was day 21 of my cycle that I was on Clomid. So she was like, we're going to do a progesterone draw and an HCG draw, a beta quant. And the reason why they decided to do the beta was because when they did an internal ultrasound, there was a little black spot, but they weren't quite sure what it was. So the doctor's like, she might be pregnant. That might be what's, irritating her uterus. We don't know. So they did the 21-day blood work. I got called back 4 days later, and they let me know that my progesterone was at like a less than 1. It was 0.7. And if you're pregnant, it's usually like 10 or 11. And my beta was 0. My count was 0. So they had diagnosed me with not pelvic congestive syndrome. It's basically where you have varicose veins in your abdomen around your uterus that, we were having a lot of sex because we were trying to have a baby. So she thinks that that's what have caused it, plus the Clomid. And so she said, from what they see, the 50 milligrams didn't make me ovulate. So they were going to see where my cycle fell, and then we were going to start fresh on the next cycle in December with 100 milligrams of Clomid, because that's how I got pregnant with my son. So fast forward, I ended up calling the doctor on cycle day 36 because, also the doctor said that was probably going to be an ovulatory cycle. So I did not ovulate that month in November because my progesterone was so low. So fast forward to December, to, my next cycle day 36, she was like, we're going to start you on Provera to induce a cycle so that we can get you, going on 100 milligrams and see, what that looks like. We were going to do a 21-day blood draw again. So yeah, things were moving along. The cycle that I started the Provera, it was 10 days of Provera, twice a day or once a day. I honestly can't remember. But after my 10 days, I still hadn't started a cycle. And I'm sorry, this is going to be a long video and it's hurting my hand. So I still hadn't started a cycle. And the doctor said it could take up to 10 days after your last pill that you start a cycle. Well, I started spotting, brown spotting, for, I think it was 10 days, because I should have written it all down because I have it in my Fertility Friend app. So I did, the Provera, started my period, what I thought was my period. I wasn't sure what to expect when it came to actually having a cycle on Provera because I had never done it before. So it was brown spotting, and then I had 1 day of pink, but it was light enough to just wear a panty liner. And my doctor had told me when I went for my internal, when they found all of my, when I originally went in November, he said, your uterine lining is really thick. So I didn't know if I was going to have a heavy period because of the Provera or a lighter period. So she said, any pink, that's going to be considered cycle day 1. So I considered that cycle day 1. 5 days past that, I took Clomid. I did my first round of 100 milligrams Clomid, and I did Clomid for 2 days, and then my cycle started again. But this time it wasn't brown it wasn't brown spotting. It was full red, bleeding, and that started on December 14th. On the 15th, it was heavy. On the 15th of December, it was really heavy. On the 16th, it was super heavy. So I was like, oh, this must be, I'm not going to take any more Clomid because this must be my true cycle day 1. So I called my doctor. It was a weekend at that point, and I left her a message to give me a call back because I needed to know, did I screw it up doing Clomid too early? Or would she just, replace those 2 days that I had taken? Well, on December 17th, which, believe it or not, is my birthday, again, cycle, or, still heavy bleeding, heavy cramping. I just thought it was going to be a period from hell. Again, I didn't know what to expect with it being a Provera-induced cycle. And I hadn't had a cycle before that since October. So, the 17th, my birthday, we had the birthday dinner. I came home, getting ready for bed. I went to the bathroom because I had to change my pad. I was bleeding through a pad at that point, probably once an hour. Um, Probably. I mean, like a full heavy duty, granny huge pad. I was just really bleeding, big clots. Anyways, I went down to the bathroom and I like had a contraction. Literally, it was a contraction, and I looked down while I'm sitting on the urinal, and this is probably gonna be TMI, but I'm just letting you know my experience. And I saw a clot. It was about the size of a cutie tangerine, so it was about this big, and I saw it halfway hanging out of me. And I ended up grabbing it and throwing it into the sink. And I know that's really disgusting, but I knew that wasn't normal. I instantly thought miscarriage. Instantly thought miscarriage, and that was my baby sitting in the sink. So what I'm going to do is, this is a 10-minute long vlog. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to do a part 2. And honestly, out of this situation, there's going to be a part 3 because I am still going through issues right now, and it is a month later. So there's a lot of things. Just make sure, if you're still interested in the story, you pay attention to part 2. All right.